Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of this video is Nineveh's Complete Ruin. Right, we're talking about Babylon the Great. I got that title from here, Nahum 3, which basically goes into the destruction of Babylon the Great, you know. And also the Most High Yahweh is telling Babylon to prepare for the siege, right, in regards to the war that's about to come. So what I found is that America is lacking, which is Babylon, America is lacking in rare earth minerals. And that's why you see things happening in Ukraine with Trump trying to, make deals to get the rare earth out of Ukraine. And you also have Trump talking about drill, baby, drill now with the oil over there in the Gulf of America or Mexico, whichever one you want to call it. You also have opening of new mineral digging sites, for Babylon the Great, right? And pretty much all of this is because of the Most High Yahweh is confusing the council of Babylon the Great. You have here Isaiah 19. Says the burden of Egypt, right, which is America. Behold, the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Awashai, right upon a swift cloud. This swift cloud is talking about a chariot or a spaceship. Pursuant to Second Esdras, chapter 13, Yahweh Shai will return on a chariot, right, a fathership, to bring destruction to America and also the land of Israel. You can also get Matthew chapter 24, around verse 30, where he sends out his angels to beam up the elect of the Israelites to save them from the destruction that is going to come. It says, and it shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Now we'll set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, right? And this is happening here in these last days, right? You have MAGA going against, even Trump, in each other. Says, and they shall fight every one against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. Now will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. Grab this NLT. It says the Egyptians will lose heart, and I will confuse their plans. They will plead with their idols for wisdom and call on spirits, mediums, and those who consult the spirits of the dead. Right. So we see that Esau Edom in these last days is leaning on these left-hand sources. Right. And one big one now is AI. Right. They're leaning on AI to help them out of the troubles that they're in now. Right. They want AI to be the new God, AI and the digital age to direct. Basically life moving on. You can see that they're moving into that. But at the same time, the Most High Yahweh has destroyed their council. So Trump is setting up these different tariffs against his trading partners, which has caused them to cut off vital resources needed for many different things. And some of those things are war and defense of war, right? With these rare earth metals that America is lacking here in these last days. And that's what I'm gonna get into with these videos. So anyway, right, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, the Lord of hosts. Right, so this fierce king and cruel Lord is the current president of the United States, Donald Trump, and that's why you see protests like no kings protests. People are saying we don't need any emperors. Right, that's just the spirit that the world is in right now, right? And that's because a cruel Lord and a fierce king is ruling over them, right? Disregarding all laws, right, and all of that. So anyway, so I'll get a little bit of this. It says Nahum 3:1, woe to the bloody city! It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not, the noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels, and of the prancing horses, and of the jumping chariots. The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glaring spear, and there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses, and there is none in of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. Right. Babylon the Great, you know, has a long, you know, trail of basically bodies behind them in different people's land. Right. They're known for setting people amongst themselves and taking the resources out of the land. And also, even here in these last days, we see America killing people, like bodies washing up ashore after they're taking flights to be so-called deported, right? This is Ezekiel 35 in verse 1. It says prophecy against Mount Seir, right? Mount Seir is in the land of Edom, right? So this is directed to Esau Edom, who is currently ruling the world today out of the hub of America. It says, moreover, Ezekiel 35 and 1, moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Right, so this is exactly what's going to happen to Babylon the Great. It's going to be utterly burnt up with nuclear weapons. It says, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of the calamity, and the time that the iniquity had an end. Right, and that's even up to this point today, now where our punishment is just about up, you know, almost up. And Esau Edom is still, like I just said, you know, killing the Israelites. It says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. It says, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passes out, and him that returneth. Right, so you know, Babylon the Great will be utterly and completely destroyed, you know, with the bosom of destruction, which goes into those nuclear weapons. Right, and no one will dwell here no more. So the Most High Yahweh was preparing these devils for blood, and a way that he's doing that is by cutting off the vital resources they need to make defenses. That's why in Ezekiel 38 it says, you know, Russia will go up to. I'll just grab it real quick. Ezekiel 38. Right, this is Ezekiel 38 and 11. Right, and this is talking about what Russia is going to do. It says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. It says, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. Right, so ultimately it's talking about Israel and America, because they will be destroyed together. You know, Russia will come against America and Israel, right? Because at least some fault is going to draw them out to the war. And pretty much it is known that the Iron Dome in Israel is non-effective against basically the basics of missiles shot by Iran, right? So the thought is already there to Russia to know that these places don't have walls, you know, bars or gates to defend themselves, because the only defense that they had was the Iron Dome, which got basically obliterated. You know, Israel is destroyed. Some key points in Israel is destroyed because the Iron Dome could not help them. And also, like I was saying, America is lacking. America wanted to build the Iron Dome, but the Iron Dome was put to the test and failed. And on top of that, America is lacking mineral resources, which I'm going to get the videos. All right. It says, verse 4, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mysteries of witchcrafts that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts, says, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. And I will cast a vulnerable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. Right, so this is happening. Right, and this word gazing stock here basically goes into the word spectacle. And the word spectacle here, it says The spectacle can refer to a public display or event, often one that is striking or impressive. Yeah, and that's what the Most High Yahweh is doing. A public display, on America and how the wicked they are, right? It says it can also refer to eyeglasses or a pair of spectacles. Additionally, it can describe something seen as unusual or ridiculous. And that's America in these last days, especially when someone makes a spectacle of themselves. And Trump is making a spectacle of himself, right? He's putting on the show, right? He's saying things basically that he should not say, right? Using things like, I will obliterate this and I will do that and we're the greatest and bomb Iran and all of that. And he's doing all these things on the www. Right apps and things like that where the world is looking, right? He's saying things and then basically turning back on things that he's saying, right? And he's become a spectacle and people are mad. Basically check this out right here.
Donald Trump is a lying sack of manure. He never said this. It's a just straight up lie that he told. It's part of this fiction that he's created around himself of being a strong president, a strong leader. Let me just point out some realities. Okay. When Donald Trump first met Vladimir Putin in his first term, when he went to Helsinki, I believe it was, where they had a little get together. If you recall the body language coming out of the meeting when they went to the joint press conference, Vladimir Putin, who was shorter than Donald Trump, came out like the buck of the walk. I mean, he just was boom, 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 head up, chest out, confident. Trump out like a chastised little puppy dog, because that's all this orange-faced idiot is. He's not a real man. He's not strong. He's not brave. He doesn't say this. I can guarantee you 100% certainty he did not say this to Vladimir Putin, because he wouldn't dare, because Vladimir Putin is a hell of a lot stronger. He has been a power a lot stronger. And he has a nuclear arsenal, because the response would have been, hey, shut up, Don. If you attack Moscow, we take you off the face of the earth. All right. It's a conversation that didn't happen. It didn't happen. Just like Biden staring Putin in the eye saying, I see the heart of a cold-hearted killer. No one talks like that to Vladimir Putin. No one. Just like no Russian diplomat would talk like that to American president, because out of respect. And Xi Jinping, you really think Donald Trump, this fat, pathetic, orange-faced idiot, this man-child, is going to talk like that to Xi Jinping, the president of China, one of the most powerful men in the world? No, not on your life. This is
right. So as you can see, people are upset because this guy, Donald Trump, is making a spectacle of himself, and not only that, of America, right, by saying the things that he's saying. And what Scott Riddler is saying here is that Donald Trump said, or there's basically something that came out, a phone call where Trump said that he said these things to the presidents of China and Russia, that he will bomb them if they did such and such. And basically, he should never said that, So he's being made a spectacle, right? So America is being made a spectacle. This is Nahum 3:7. It says, and it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who will bemoan her? When shall I see comforters for thee? Right. I just gave you Ezekiel 35, because Babylon the Great will be destroyed. It says, art thou better than populous? No, that was situate among the rivers, that had the waters round about it, whose rampart was the sea, and her wall was from the sea. Right. This is just talking about basically Egypt, this city Thebes, right, which was on the Nile River. It says Ethiopian Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite. Put and Lubim were thy helpers. It says, yet was she carried away. She went into captivity. Her young children also were dashed in pieces at the top of all the streets, and they cast lots for her honorable men, and all her great men were bound in chains. Right, and you can get the account of that in Ezekiel chapter 30, around verse 10 through 15. Where King Nebuchadnezzar went in there and basically, made war with Egypt and destroyed that city. So it says, it was carried away into captivity. It says, thou also shalt be drunken, thou shalt be hid, thou also shalt seek strength because of the enemy. See, this is the point. This is exactly what's happening here in these last days. What is Habakkuk says? Habakkuk 2, it says, in 1, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord Yahweh Bahashim shall answer me, and said, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Right, and we are those individuals that's running, right, with the correct message. And that's what it's talking about. We're running with the 100% truth and feeding the sheep. It says, for the vision, which is the prophecies, is yet for an appointed time, that the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So this is what's happening. Donald Trump, America is seeking strength because of the enemy, right? So fast forwarding up here, we have this account where Trump is trying to get those rare earth minerals from Ukraine.
Russia has said they are fighting this war to address the root causes of the conflict, so that never again do they have to deal with the threat that was manifested by Ukraine as it existed from 2014 to 2022. Russia will never again allow that happen. This means that this war will go on until Ukraine either conforms to Russia's demands or ceases to exist. That's the reality. And Donald Trump wants the Russians to pretend that no, they can peacefully coexist with this pro-Western Ukraine because Donald Trump has decided that he's going to invest in rare earth minerals in Ukraine. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Donnie. The Russians just took over the largest deposit of lithium in Ukraine. It's theirs. You ain't going to get it. And if we wait another couple months, Russia will also take over the rest of it up there in Dnipropetrovsk, and none of your rare earth minerals will be under the control of the Ukrainian government. All of them will be under control of Russia. They don't care about your agreement. See, Russia doesn't care.
All right. I'll read it again. Thou also shalt be drunken, thou shalt be hid, thou also shalt seek strength because of the enemy. So that was a thing that Trump tried to do, right? Basically, if you notice what's happening, America is being cut off, right? They basically, China, which I have in the next video, China is cutting them off, from receiving these rare earth minerals, right? And now Russia is cutting them off from receiving the rare earth minerals out of Ukraine. And I guess one of the hopes is that they could take over Iran, because Iran has found a deposit of rare earth metals down there in their land, right? So maybe they might, try to take that. But pretty much they're cut off because of the council of themselves. Right now they have no allies to give them the metals. So they could use the EU, and the EU could buy the metals and I guess give it to America. But pretty much China and the rest of them have cut America off, right? So this is America seeking strength because of the enemy, trying to get these rare earth. Now here's China cutting off America because of what the Council of Trump put in tariffs on China. So China just cut off the vital metal resources needed for basically war and defense.
Even in the first days of the Israeli-Iranian conflict, we knew Iranian rockets were getting through the Israeli missile defenses. Later, we learned just how bad things were on the ground there. This is a map from Larry Johnson. The website is here, and he's invited all the time to appear on other channels. He was with the CIA and State Department in a previous life, and it's just a guess that he probably wasn't crazy about the dress codes where he used to work. Anyway, Tel Aviv had a blackout on news reporting from Israel, but enough still gets through on X and Telegram that he was able to piece together what was getting hit and where. None of this news is good to anyone who expected the Iron Dome and the American Navy to protect even the highest level, most visible, and most strategic targets. The Israeli War Ministry, a Mossad intelligence training base, Haifa, the oil refinery and port, the Ben Gurion International Airport, the Israeli Nuclear Research Center, a top secret cybersecurity unit, a bunch of air and army bases, power plants, weapons manufacturers. The Tel Aviv Stock Exchange was also hit. This is a comprehensive target map of key strategic, economic, and scientific assets that are spread throughout the country, and Iran was able to hit them all. And they did so within just days of much of their top military leadership being wiped out. Pulling back a bit, it's clear now that it's our arsenals that have been bled dry. And it is amazing that it's only now that policymakers and industry leaders are realizing what all those Chinese export bans on rare earth metals and magnets add up to. It means that the Pentagon and the NATO countries cannot build weapons. It doesn't matter what the Pentagon's budget is, or that Europe just agreed to devote 5% of their GDP to new defense spending. Without Chinese antimony, nobody can make artillery or bombs. Without Chinese gallium, nobody can build radars or AWACS planes. Without Chinese germanium, no more military satellites or missile guidance systems. Without Chinese graphite, no more stealthy planes or submarines or high-performance fighter jets. Without Chinese tungsten, no more armored vehicles or armor-piercing munitions. Long way of saying that every artillery shell fired, every bomb dropped, every missile launched over Ukraine or the Middle East cannot be replaced. Same thing goes for everything used in our training exercises. It's hard to know if this was our strategy in the beginning, but it's certainly the reality now. In diplomacy, leaders in countries not in Europe or North America
Right. So, they're struggling. Most High Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai has done this to them, you know. So, that's why you have them preparing, their own resources like drilling in the Gulf of America or opening up new, you know, uh, mining areas. It says Nahum 3 and 12, all thy strongholds shall be like fig trees with the first ripe figs. If they be shaken, they shall even fall into the mouth of the eater. Behold, thy people in the midst of thee are women. The gates of thy land shall be set wide open unto thine enemies. The fire shall devour thy bars. It says, draw thee waters for the siege. Fortify thy strongholds. Go into clay and tread the mortars. Make strong the brickling. Oh, I have an ad here, so I'll just play it and then I'll play the sound. It's 20 seconds more. Slack. Title here is U.S. opens first rare earth mineral mine in 70 years. That's how you know they're messed up. Energy Secretary Chris Wright discusses the opening of a rare earth mineral mine and domestic energy production on the Falconer Focus. Okay.
Secretary Chris Wright is at the site in Ranchester, Wyoming. It is great to see you today. So the cost of things matter too. And when you talk about those electric vehicles, it's the battery that costs a whole lot. What does this do for the United States to have that mine open?
Oh, it's huge. China's just had massive leverage. They control the supply chain of rare earth elements. And every device with a button on it has rare earth elements in it. Your TV, your washing machine, your cell phone, jets, not just commercial planes, but fighter jets. We need to have that control ourselves. President Trump set out to reindustrialize America. That means mining in America. That means control over critical things that lead to our national security and our economic security. This is a huge day, Harris. I'm thrilled to be here.
So what happened to it? Why hasn't it been, it's 70 years for this. What happened? We just decided we weren't going to be in that game anymore?
We decided we didn't like to do big, bold things that some people thought were dirty in our country, and China set out. They've spent tens of billions of dollars to control the whole supply chain, mining, processing, refining, and construction of magnets. They set out to control this so that they would have leverage over the United States and the other industrial nations of the world. And they've had that leverage, and this mine is the start of our ending that leverage.
Look, I know that there was a critical minerals deal with Ukraine in May that President Trump signed, and at the time he said the Ukraine crisis has highlighted the urgency of rebuilding our defense industrial base, both in the U.S. and among allied nations. Talk to me a little bit about that independence.
Yeah, I think the deal with Ukraine is great because those are deals that win for both sides. People call resources.
The Ukraine crisis is them noticing that the proxy war that they were doing against Russia is not working. Nahum 3:11, thou also shalt be drunken, thou shalt be hid, thou also shalt seek strength because of the enemy.
Resources underground, they call them resources. They're not resources. They're just materials underground. They've been there for millions of years. They only become resources when technology and capital and human beings develop them, bring them to the surface to better our lives. That deal with Ukraine will bring the United States and Ukraine closer. It'll bring American interests on the ground to Ukraine. That sends a strong message to Russia. And you'd love to source everything in the United States. We'll do a lot of that. Some of it will be friend sourced, from our neighbors and our allies as well.
Secretary, very quickly, you mentioned Russia, and the world is watching now as it is really getting tougher and tougher on Ukraine. Does this deal survive what's happening?
Oh, I think it does. I think it does. Look, President Trump has been a deal maker. He wants to align economic, commercial interests. That's the way to stop bullets from flying, instead trade to fly. But again, I can't overstate the importance of where I'm standing right now in the largest coal mining district in the United States, surrounded by big, beautiful, clean coal. This is the largest source of global electricity, third largest source of electricity in the United States. And not only do we get coal here, we're going to get those rare earth elements that are going to break our dependence on China and reindustrialize our country. It is an exciting day.
I love to hear you talk about it and to show us in your own hands what is about to change things for us with regard to energy. Secretary Wright, it is always great to have you in focus. Thank you.
Thank you, Harris. Great to be with you.
Right. And, even Scott Riddler here is talking about how the fact that Trump is not living in reality, regarding these things. You see just opening up, these different minds saying, we're the great, we'll be all right, instead of just, I don't know, but the Most High Yahweh is doing his work here, Let me play some of this. I believe I stopped at like 2.
China. Tariff China. China's bad. My big tariffs, beautiful tariffs. They're wonderful. And we've broken China. China's called me in a panic and said, my God, we got to negotiate with you now. And so I went ahead and agreed to lower the tariffs. And China's like, we didn't call you. We don't care what you do. We don't care at all what you do. We have our own policy, our response. We'll crush you if you want to be crushed. If you want to lower the tariffs, we'll have a conversation with you. But China doesn't play that game. China doesn't play that game. Neither does Russia. This is embarrassing. This is one of the more embarrassing moments in my entire life as an American, to have this fat, orange-faced fool saying stupid things. I mean, he's literally talking about creating the conditions for a nuclear war. Because now, how does Russia deal with this? I mean, Russia doesn't want to embarrass him, but I'm pretty sure in the near future you're going to hear.
Right. He basically goes into the fact that he's saying that Donald Trump is living in a fantasy world. Let me go to the part where he actually says a little bit of that. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Probably won't be able to find it. Let me see. I'll start from right here.
Isn't just a simple lie. This is a man who lives in a fantasy world, and it's a world that's the second it collides with reality. I mean, it's like mixing oil and vinegar in this man's brain. He is a dangerous human being. This man shouldn't be anywhere near the magic button that sends nuclear weapons flying. This is something Congress should investigate. Literally, if I were Congress, I would say, I want to investigate. Mr. President, did you make this statement? I want to hear it from you right now. We heard it your voice in 2024, but now that you're the president of the United States, sworn to uphold and defend the Constitution, did you make such a statement to the Russians? Can you commit on record? When did you make this statement? In what context? He didn't make this statement. This is a bald-faced lie, What
is the point of this, for him to just try to flex or something, or make people believe that he's more powerful than Putin or Xi Jinping?
100%. This is a man who can't stand reality. I mean, this would be the equivalent of me. I don't know. I can't think of an equivalent situation, but I mean, this is straight up lie. This is the equivalent of him trying to impress us with his body by coming out and saying, yeah, I bench pressed 250 pounds today. No, you didn't. You can't even get the bar up, Mr. President. You're fat. You're out of shape. You can't get the bar up. That's 135, not even 130. What is it, 90 pounds? You can't get that. And he doesn't need to do this. I mean, the irony of this is the strength of the United States is manifest. We don't need to flex. I mean, what he needs to do is be responsible in his leadership. We have nuclear weapons. We have aircraft carriers. We have all this. Yes, we are a declining power. We're operating off of legacy doctrine that's no longer applicable in the modern world. And if we want to update, it's going to cost us a lot of money. And I think he's been briefed by people that, Mr. President, we're in trouble. The Minuteman III missile, 50 years old, it ain't going to be upgraded anymore. We need the new Sentinel missile, but we can't afford it because Boeing sucks as a contractor, because they've been spending their entire past decades ripping the American taxpayer off with overly long procurement cycles. And now when we need them to build a missile, they can't build a missile on time. That's why we had to put I forget what it's called, the none something law that stops a program when they rapidly go over budget, because this is how they make money. They underbid and they give an artificial timeline, and then the contract gets let and they go, oh gosh, I guess we have to do this. That's going to cost this much more money, and it's going to take this much.
Right. So as you can see, like I was saying, basically, Donald Trump is flexing, when he's not really in a position to flex, basically to show power, kind of like how he did the military parade, to show his military power over there in Washington, D.C. on his birthday or whatnot. And that was to the other nations, so. Hey, but that's him preparing for the siege. It says, Nahum 3:14, draw thee waters for the siege, fortify thy strongholds, go into clay and tread the mortar, make strong the brickwork. There shall the fire devour thee, the sword shall cut thee off, it shall eat thee up like the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the cankerworm, make thyself many as the locust. right? Heaping unto him, different people, nations, right? It says, different soldiers and whatnot, recruitment, all of that. It says, thou hast multiplied thy merchants above the stars of heaven. The cankerworm spoileth and flieth away. Thy crown are as the locusts, and thy captains as the grasshoppers, which camp in the hedges in the cold day. But when the sun arises, they fly away. They flee away, and the place is not known where they are. Right. So these different, individuals are not going to help Babylon the Great here in these last days. They basically don't want the smoke. Right. Everyone is telling them, we're not ready. We got to prepare, whatnot, right? It says, thy shepherds slumber, O king of Assyria, thy nobles shall dwell in the dust. Thy people were scattered upon the mountains, and no man gathered them. There is no healing of thy bruise, thy wound is grievous. See, you can't dig for your earth minerals or your coal and all of that and try to save Babylon in these last days. It's too late, right? You can't get yourself out of this pit that the Most High Yahweh has put you in. It says, there is no healing of thy bruise, thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap their hands over thee, for upon whom have not thy wickedness passed continually, right? So Babylon the Great has been the bully of the earth. The scriptures say, as for his enemies, he puffeth at them, right? And now his enemies are, now the scriptures, Joel said 3 and 9, let the weak say, I am strong, So that's where we're at with it now. Make sure, It says, Joel 3 and 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong. And that's exactly what's happening, right? So, in the news, Lord willing, edify from the lesson, shalom, to the old lake, which consists of men, women, and children, shalom.